Okay, and what exactly is your invention?
My invention is to change the chapel assistants, the communion helpers, the readers, the ushers into cheerleaders. Woohoo!
Why?
So that everyone would be happy to go to church and it would be more exciting.
Give me an O! Oh! Give me a U! Give me a T! I'm out! This is ridiculous!
But
This is ridiculous!
are you saying that church is boring? So boring, in fact, that we need to bring in a cheerleading squad to liven it up? Do you think that I am not able to keep my services lively, or that my chapel assistants are dull? I'm just trying to make church appeal more to the young people. There are declining numbers of youth in services nowadays. Why shouldn't I try and make it more fun for everybody? This is absurd and offensive.
Kelsey, I don't think you understand that most of our chapel assistants are no longer young adults. I mean, do you expect them to take a cheerleading course? I don't think most of them are even physically able to do moves like that.
Exactly! The $10,000 startup investment is so that they can do this. Woo! Woo! Woo!
So you want our chapel assistants to do the splits?
I don't think she realizes they can be older than age.
Just was old.
Of course I realize that. You guys aren't getting it at all.
Kelsey, I think we're done.
No, my offer is totally reasonable. You guys are so unfair.
Thank you.
But... It's just not fair. I worked so hard on this pitch and the Lions completely wrecked my idea.
What about your pitch? Did you want to stick with the Lions?
I just wanted church to be more happy. This church is so boring. I just wanted everything to be perfect, and they completely wrecked my idea. This is the worst day ever. I hate it. Get out of my face.
A big hand for the drama, guys. Did everybody sleep well? I love traveling west across the world, right? I got up at 6:30 this morning and everyone's like, wow, 6:30. That's 2:30 in the afternoon Irish time. It was just like a regular Friday for me. So last night we talked about snakes and high stakes. This idea that in the world in which we live, we're all trying to make it towards something. We're all trying to make it towards some sort of defined objective of what it means to be worth it, what it means to be loved. And we're asking the question, what defines us? And we're looking at the pitfalls that we fall into, and the challenges that our society presents to us. And I've found few better videos than the one I'm about to show you in a second. That kind of show perfectly what it's like living in our world. This is the video here.
Portia, I love your moves. Let's see what they look like with the wall coming at you. It's time to face the hole.
I love her reaction. The wall's coming towards her. It presents her with a shape she cannot possibly fit through. Oh, crap. It's how many of us feel most mornings. This is what society expects from me, and this is what I am. And we're expected to distort ourselves, or to contort ourselves, to mold ourselves into shapes that we are not, in order to fit into someone else's idea of what it means to be okay. We become slaves to other people's voices, lost without our own voice. I put up a lot of jokes. If any of you have been following me on Twitter for a while, you'll see that I put up a regular jokes about having a beard on Twitter, right? Because having a beard is important, you know? Like, it matters. I love this picture. Excuse me, miss, my eyes are up here. Having a beard is something that I joke about constantly, but it's also something that connects to my past and to my teenage years, to what it meant for me to be your age. I didn't just show you the pictures I showed you yesterday to tell you, just that we could laugh at what I looked like as a teenager, but it's actually as an introduction to the story that I'm going to tell you today about what it was like for me growing up. This is the real reason I have a beard. If I shaved it off, I look 13, which is my age backwards. I'm 31. When I was a teenager, I didn't grow up in Ireland. I actually grew up in Bangladesh, which is on the other side of the world. And we moved there because of my dad was working in development work. So we went out there when I was about 7 years old, and so I was in an international high school there. And in that high school, we had about 28 different nationalities, and they say that there are 3 reasons that anybody ends up in somewhere like Bangladesh, if you're not from Bangladesh. And they say that there's 3 reasons. It's one of the jokes that you have when you live there. You're one of 3 things. You're either a missionary, a mercenary, so you're either doing it for Jesus, or doing it for the money, or number 3, you're a misfit. And that's that you don't fit in anywhere else, and it was the only place that you could find gainful employment. And our school was a mixture of those 3 things, or rather the children of those 3 things. And so you've got your mish kids, you know, your missionary kids whose their hair is like homeschool long, you know, it's just down here. You've got the mercenary kids who have like, you know, truckloads of stuff sent over from wherever they're from all the time and all the best clothes and this kind of thing. And then you have the misfits. You have kids who grow up in struggling homes. And every single one of us, the things that happen to us in life, the things that are said to us, and the things that are done to us, they shape how we act towards other people. And so when it comes to the students that were in my school, a lot of them had a lot of anger because of a lot of pain that had been caused them. And being unable to control or deal with that pain, they would take it out on other people. And I was one of the people who became a victim of that kind of stuff. I was always shorter than everyone else when I was in school. I believe this is kind of a curse for guys. I'm sure it's a curse for girls as well. I don't have a lot of experience of being a girl, so I'm just going to speak from being a guy, okay? But I had what I consider, and everyone does this, everyone considers their own problems to be the worst problems. I had the worst problem ever, right? And that's that I didn't hit puberty till I was like 17, okay? Not ideal, particularly when you're I had PE at the beginning of every school day. And so we would go into PE, and all around me, guys from different grades were all becoming men. And I was like, when will I be a man? I don't want to be Peter Pan anymore. I want to be a man too. But that was not for me at that time in my life. When I was about 13 or 14, I was smaller than everyone else. And so what would happen was I ended up being a victim of bullying. So every day I would come into school, and PE would be my first class, and there would be this mixture of physical and verbal abuse. It would be, you know, things being said to you, and they say sticks and stones break your bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, they hurt me, but then there were sticks and stones too. And that's what happens when you're smaller than other people and you're unable to defend yourself. And so it would be anything from, I remember having my mouth held open and spat in. I remember walking back from the showers and seeing somebody peeing on my towel. There'd be a fist flying through the shower curtain. I remember at one point jumping up and tearing down the metal bar that held up the shower curtain and using it to defend myself against guys who were much bigger than me until they took it and they turned it against me. And these pictures that you see, these are pictures that I drew when I was about 22 or 23. I was leading my first ever internship program. And so we brought on these interns, and just for any of you young leaders out there, if you're 22 or 23 like I was, you're not ready to lead interns. But I gave it my best shot, and so for this afternoon we were talking about our stories and our stories that affected us, and we all sat down and we were supposed to draw pictures that expressed our past. And I drew this, and then I cried a lot. And my interns were the ones gathering around me, consoling me, like, seriously, this guy's leading us? Oh, they're there. So what I drew was 5 different mirrors, and I'm going to show them to you. The green box, that's a mirror. And then outside of the box, that's me in reality. And inside the box is the reflection that I saw. The distorted reflection that the world and my experience of the world gave back to me. I'm 6 feet tall. I reached this height when I was about 21 or 22. But it wasn't until I was 23 or 24 that I could actually believe that I wasn't short anymore. Because the way in which people treat you and the things people say to you, they shape how you see yourself. To the point where you may be unable to see you in the mirror. Because all you can see is what they've said and what they've done. Things developed over time, and I also began to feel that I was weak, that I was unable to defend myself. One of the key moments for me, and one of the kind of most shaping moments of my life, was walking. I had tried out for every team that was going in school. I had 4 very simple ideas of what it meant to be a man and what I would be when I grew up, you know? A man is 4 things, and I'm sure, see, you guys as teenagers, you're so much more mature than I was, right? You're so much more intelligent, and you don't make stupid lists of things that if you could just be them, you'd be okay. You don't do that, so I have to explain this to you. There were 4 things I knew I needed to be in order to be a man. I had to be big, because men are big. I had to be strong, because men are strong. I had to be hairy, because men are hairy. I am now. And I still kind of think it's a little bit of a raised middle finger to my teenage years. But those 3 things I couldn't control: my size, my strength, my body hair, or my beard. But the 4th thing I could control, and that was that I thought that men played sports. In my simplistic understanding of what masculinity meant at that time, I thought if I could just play sports, I'd be okay. So I tried out for the track team, I was on the swim team, I tried out for the basketball team. My height on the basketball team, not a great mix. Tried out for every team going. I eventually made the football team, by which I mean the soccer team, because that's what football is. It's a sport that's played with a ball, and you play it with your feet. Unlike what in North America you call football and should be called hand egg. So I tried out for the football team and I made it, and I was the shortest and the smallest person. I was the shortest and the smallest person. The shortest and the youngest person on the team. Huge, big deal. Made the team. I was like, I'm gonna be okay. And then one day, a few weeks into the season, after training, I was walking back from the showers. 2 guys who were on the team and who were guys who bullied me in PE as well. As I was walking back from the shower, they grabbed my towel, they whipped it off me, and they beat me and they knocked me down in front of the rest of the team. And so there I was, naked, exposed as a boy in the presence of men. And I realized in that moment 2 things. And every single one of us, when blows are dealt to us, we react in these ways. We make statements to ourselves that we believe to be true. The first thing I came to believe is I will never be defined by men, or I will never be a man. And the second thing was, I will always be alone. Because I had friends on that team who didn't step in and change the situation. They stood at the side with everyone else and laughed. So I decided I would never get my identity from men, so I decided I would look elsewhere for it. I always forget about the slide. The other thing was, and this is something that my family and I joke about now, but it wasn't something I figured out for a long time, and that was that when I eventually hit puberty, it was because I had accumulated much energy for many years, because I had been eating like a gigantic person from the age of 12. So I was 12, I was about this height, skinny little thing, and I would eat like 2 Big Mac meals, no problem, right? I was just storing this stuff up. And my family would jokingly call me fat boy, because I ate like I was fat, but I wasn't. Obviously, I would never think that I was, because it wasn't true in reality. And so they would make jokes about it, because there are some jokes we feel comfortable about making. And so they would make those jokes. And then but eventually it came to shape my reality, it came to shape how I saw myself. And so when I looked in the mirror, I would see somebody who's bigger than I was in reality. And that's something that I still, to a certain extent, struggle with. The next thing was that I decided I would never get my identity from being around guys, no, I would get my identity from being with girls. And so I'd shape my personality, I would carve out the perfect personality. Be like, okay, so what do you guys want? Watch like rom-coms and take notes, you know? Okay, start at the beginning, we seem to have, okay, pretty girl, target acquired. Who's she with? Oh, some jock on the hand egg team. Enemy acquired. End of film, who does she end up with? Sensitive best friend. Done. I knew I could never be the captain of the hand egg team, so I became the sensitive best friend with a mullet, as you saw it. But it came this thing where I would date all my friends, and there was no such thing as having a friendship with a girl because it was all about a relationship. Because if I could get into a relationship where I could make out with somebody, that would tell me that I was worth something, that I was good looking. But eventually these feelings would dissipate and these relationships would end because the truth is I was only interested in myself and feeling good about myself. And so I would end up bailing out of the relationship because I had no interest in them. I just didn't want to be alone. Because if I was alone, then what they told me in that high school dressing room was true. And so I came to believe over time that when I give my heart to somebody, in reality what I'm giving them is a knife, because I can't be trusted with someone else's heart. I will always end up hurting them. And throughout all of this, I eventually came to believe, because I sought solace in drink, dabbled a little bit in drugs and with girls and relationships and all these different places that I went to find solace. Because of my church community, I always believed that I was an outsider, that if people truly knew what I got up to, that they would realize I was guilty and I wasn't worth investing in. And that became my story. And so in the mirror at the top, you can see me walking past the mirror, but in reality, in the reflection, in what I believed about myself, I left dirty footprints wherever I went. Because sometimes it's not just the choices that we make that shape how we feel about ourselves. It's not just the choices other people make that shape how we feel about ourselves. The choices that we make can invite guilt and shame into our lives, that send us off into the woods where we cover ourselves up. Things go on long enough, and our world can become a house of crazy mirrors. You guys know them? Have you ever been to a carnival with a house of crazy mirrors? You look at one mirror, and it makes you taller. You look at another, it makes you shorter. One makes you wider, one makes you skinnier. One, weirdly enough, makes you wiggly. But if that was the world in which you lived and you never saw a mirror for the rest of your life, you would forget who you were and forget what you looked like, because you would be subject to the distorted reflections that everybody feeds back to you. And in order to become perfect in their view, you would contort yourself into something broken and destroyed in reality. Because if I'm going to be perfect in a distorted mirror, I have to become distorted in reality. Can you see you? Can you see the woods from the trees? Can you look in the mirror and see who you are? Can you see past your past? Can you see past what they've said? Can you see past what they've done? I can now, but when I was your age, I couldn't. Again, I'm not going to give you an easy answer for this, but I'm going to tell you that the story isn't over. Tonight we'll look deeper at this, and tonight we'll look a little bit more at resolution. But during the day today, when you get some time, think to yourself, what are my mirrors? How do I see myself? How has what they've said or what they've done shaped how I see myself? How has what I've done shaped how I see myself? And am I willing to embark on a journey that will set me free from those reflections so that I can truly learn to see me? That's the journey we're going on. I look forward to sharing it with you.
project workshops are starting at 10 o'clock. And there will be room numbers up on the screen right here. So I guess you know where you're going, or you pick where you're going. I'm sure how that's working out. So. But yeah, so that's where all the rooms are for the ministry project. So I think they'll be up at the end of this as well, so you'll know where to go.